Hello. So, I don't know how this video is going to work because I am at work, and for those who don't know what I do for a living, I make I make props. It's a prop, not what your mind thinks. For YouTube, it's a prop. So it's going to be tricky for me to sort of talk and walk around and show you what I do because of the style of the props that we make. So I can show you, like I say, I can show you this kind of prop because it's quite clearly a tentacle. Again, as is this is a prop, quite clearly, very clearly, a tentacle. This is I think that's actually the small prop tentacle that we make. But yeah, it's a very interesting sort of line of work. I came from a bronze foundry where we used to create magnificent pieces of artwork. And I've come to this place where we make props. But the artistic process is still exactly the same. Like one of my bosses designs all of this stuff on a 3D program. I think he designs on ZBrush actually, which by the way, if there is anybody out there, any creative type out there who can use ZBrush and is quite artistic and designy, genuinely look towards what's potentially props. To give you more of a hint, let's say props for adults, because you can make a lot of money just by designing stuff and selling your design. I was speaking to my boss about it, and he's like, one design can make you $700 just for selling the creative right. Which basically means like if you design it and you sell it to a company, they can do whatever they want sort of with that, and that's it. But you can also go the other way around and go royalties. So every time they sell, you get a percentage of the sales. There's a lot of money to be made in making and designing this kind of stuff. It's actually incredible. But I did want to show you this stuff. So when my boss is doing what he's got to do and he's finished designing said item, we then 3D print it. Thankfully, the 3D printer is empty. We have this absolutely humongous resin printer. So we use this, and this is where the magic happens, if you like. In that is where we 3D print the actual, prop itself. Then we've literally got a bay here. Look at all of these. You can't see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 filament 3D printers, which we then do anything else with. And it is literally anything else. Anything that we need to design, style, etc., etc., etc. for the business is all done on these filament printers. Now, I like to try and be creative, but I'm not very good at it, I won't lie. But they have turned to me and said, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to learn you how to use Fusion 360, which is, it's a CAD software, it's computer-aided design. Everything you make is like done by measurement, so it's quite precise stuff. And then that stuff can then be done to the 3D printers. So this is pretty cool because now it's like anything that I can almost think of that I can draw, I could literally 3D print in these printers. They are going to show me how to use a resin printer because that's slightly different apparently, but it's interesting. And I will say, it is tickling a lot of creative juices. As somebody who suffers a lot with, various different mental health and stuff, creativity for me has always been an outlet. That's what I quite enjoyed about the Foundry. It's what I really enjoy about this because it's more modern than the Foundry was. The Foundry was very old school technology. We were using plaster and like a Hessian to make our cases when we were doing the bronze stuff. And they were heavy and they were cumbersome and just not great. Now, we're literally 3D printing and designing these and like I say, 3D printing them. And it's so much lighter, so much lighter. We're using a medical grade silicon that we use to create our molds. And one that I found really interesting, right? What they mean by medical grade silicon is basically it's the same silicon as anything else. It just goes through another screening process to make sure that it's fine to use, which is kind of, okay, cool. But it feels so fun to be able to create stuff. And there's people out there who will get that. There's people out there who will understand. And when people go on about purpose and this, that, and everything else, I feel if you're really stuck and you don't know what your life purpose is, create. Whether that's drawing, whether that's making something with your hands, whether it's whatever you do, just create. Because that's where I started. After I had my spinal surgery and I was kind of really low, there's a little community near where I live, and they had a laser kind of engraver thing. It's a big industrial thing, don't get me wrong, it's quite sizable. And I went, they had an open day, I went and had a look at it. It's like, this is pretty good. And that's where my sort of outlet for creativity started. And I made a few things for the home and stuff like this. And I was working on a commission for a guy who's suddenly just disappeared off the face of the earth. I've been emailing him trying to find out stuff, but it's all gone quiet. So that was a bit dumb. But to land this job, to make stuff, and I wish I could show you some of the stuff that we make, because it really is, it's a work of art. Like the details in this stuff. Now this is just a plastic, which I've made, if you like, because we take the resin printed 3D and it's hollow and it's okay, but we need to make sure it's got longevity to it. So I make molds and cast stuff, and this is just cast in plastic. We threw some black in to try and, well, basically make it not white so that any imperfections would stand out, so that we can work out any of the creases. But it's kind of given a really interesting marble effect. It looks better in real life, I'll tell you that now, it looks better in real life. But I wish you guys could see what's over there, like behind the camera, because it is so cool. I might, let's be careful here, because I know there's a lot of stuff behind me. I might be able to show you some stuff, because there's a fantasy side of the business, and there's a more normal side of the business, I guess. The fantasy side, I can show you some things, but nothing's out. I was going to say I can show you the fantasy side because it doesn't look like it'll get me kind of demonetized or whatever on YouTube, but there's nothing out, which is really frustrating. But I'll show you this kind of stuff, like, just move that out of the way. These are all the colors. Oh God, they don't look good enough on the camera. But all the colours are so vibrant and bright. We're using like UV stuff, and it's like boom, and it pops into black light, and we use glow in the dark stuff sometimes, and glitter and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of cool, man. It really is kind of cool. I'll say that much. I've really enjoyed working here, and I know I've only been here since the 9th of January, and it is now the 5th of April. But the kind of trust that the guys that I work for have in their staff, it's really, really nice to feel, because we're of a similar age, and they just seem to trust everybody until you give them a reason not to trust you. I suppose they've given me quite a bit of responsibility in some respect as well, because I've actually turned up. For once in my life, I feel like I have skills that can benefit the place that I work for, which is really cool. So they look at me and they kind of, do you mind doing this? Would you do this? And I'll tell you the truth, it's really, really strange being given a choice. Everywhere else I've worked, you will do this. You are going to do that. Here, do you want to go on this course for Fusion 360? I almost had an argument with my boss about it, because it was a case of, do you need me to go on the course? I will go on the course. And he's like, well, I only want you to go on the course if it's something that you want to do. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. And I'm like, but if it's my job to do it, then I'll do it. Because that's how I've kind of been through work, isn't it? You take the rough with the smooth. Just because you don't want to do something doesn't mean you get out that easy with it. If it's your job to do whatever it is you do, you have to take the rough with the smooth. But these guys here, they give you so much choice. Now, I've seen this work both ways, because ultimately I see what I'm taking on, and I sit there and I see kind of the finances that I get in return for it. And then I see the other members of staff that I work with and see what they take on
and see the finances that they take from it. And it's interesting, but you know, you have a 6 months probation. So after 6 months, we'll see where we are. We'll hopefully have a discussion about stuff and, you know, see if anything changes in that respect. I don't know. But you have to have a discussion, right? There's no harm. There's no harm done if you don't have a discussion. Sorry, I'm not really looking here. I'm looking out here and waiting for the post to turn up because we've got a lot of sacks that need emptying. And he should be here. I looked for my watch. I don't wear a watch. He should be here within the next, well, between now and 10 minutes time, 20 minutes time sort of thing. I think actually he's just come through the gate. So that's cool. But yeah, honestly, I wish I could show you so much more. But what I want to say as a takeaway from this, if you are struggling with what to do in life or where you are in life, find a creative outlet that you can do as a hobby for a start. Even if you have no idea, no skills whatsoever, just try it and see where you get to. Because honestly, you'll be very surprised what can happen. Even if you're no good, learn something, learn a new skill. It's kind of eye-opening. It's really cool. Anyway, gotta go, post here. Take it easy. Peace out, guys.